Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope it's been a good weekend so far for everyone as we start to get prepared for the Week 10 slate. Taking your questions, sorting out your lineup plans as we officially kick off the second half of football season. I guess that technically happened on Thursday night, but you know what I mean. The first full slate of the second half of the 2025 season gets underway tomorrow. Kicking things off in Berlin with Colts Falcons, 9:30 East. So there will not be a Start Sit Sunday stream. Leave that spot open for the early games, for the international games. But if you do need me after today, I will be available either, the usual avenues. You can ask a question in the form of a comment, either on this live stream or if I put a post up, or you can join me in Discord, and I'll be available to answer questions over there. Probably until about 30 minutes leading up to kickoff. So whatever you need tomorrow, you just let me know. And I can be available outside of the live stream as the international game is taking place. Let's see. The latest injury updates that we have, and then taking your questions. Most of the updates came yesterday. There's been only a few updates today. Let me see. I'm just going back to Friday with the latest updates that we have. We knew this on Wednesday. It became official yesterday. Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin will not play for Tampa Bay against New England. The Patriots will also be down Ramondre Stevenson and Kayshon Boutte in that game, so a lot of injuries over there. Emeka Egbuka, Rashad White will handle all of the work that they can for Tampa Bay. Travion Henderson steps into another 1A role with no Ramondre. Terrell Jennings will be the change of pace guy. And with Boutte out, that could free up a couple more opportunities for the likes of Demario Douglas, Mac Hollins, et cetera, for New England behind Stephon Diggs. James Cook is good to go for Week 10. He missed Wednesday's practice. Nothing to be worried about there. Defense news. Colts defensive tackle DeForest Buckner was placed on injured reserve and will miss at least 4 games. That is a significant loss for their defense, in particular their run defense. So Bijan Robinson should do just fine tomorrow. You were starting him anyway, but the Colts take a hit on the interior of their defensive line for at least the next 4 games. Harold Fannin participated in practice yesterday. He is questionable for this game. He did not practice on Thursday because of a hamstring injury. We hate midweek injuries, midweek adds to the injury report. I would prefer not to play Harold Fannin this week if you do not have to. Obviously, if he does shed the injury designation before kickoff tomorrow and you need him, then you could go to him. I would prefer to have alternate options, though, given the midweek injury ad. I would prefer not to play Harold Fannin. Rico Dowdle's off the injury report for Week 10 for Carolina. That's good, but Tet McMillan was added to the injury report. He is questionable with a hamstring injury. Same thought process, same feeling as Fannin. Don't love it, would prefer not to mess around with it. Obviously, again, if Tet McMillan is ruled active for the game and you were planning on relying on him and you don't have a comparable replacement, then you may have to go with him, but hate the midweek injury ad. The designation with the hamstring injury was a bit unexpected, a bit surprising. So therefore, I'm not feeling as strongly about Tet McMillan this week as I was earlier in the week. Cedric Tillman should play for Cleveland, though. Speaking of Harold Fannin, Tillman, I believe, was activated off injured reserve, so he could go tomorrow against the Jets, and could see opportunities right away. Isaiah Bond, on the other hand, was ruled out for tomorrow. Alvin Kamara is questionable for Week 10 with an ankle injury. He is an RB3 and nothing more. Michael Pittman is off the injury report for Week 10, so he's good to go for the Berlin game tomorrow against Atlanta. I've not seen any new updates on J.K. Dobbins, but he suffered a foot injury in Thursday night's win over the Las Vegas Raiders. So we're waiting on a second opinion there. Obviously, we'll keep close tabs on that going into next week. Hold. If you have R.J. Harvey, do nothing. His opportunity for a larger role could be on its way. DeAndre Swift is listed questionable for Week 10. He has a groin injury and also some type of personal matter, which caused him to miss practice on Friday. This comes on the heels of Ben Johnson suggesting that Kyle Monangai could be getting more work. He referred to a hot hand approach in the backfield. So we could be looking at a smaller role for DeAndre Swift this week and a larger role for Monangai. It makes both of them quite volatile, but just based on the vibes right now, if I had to pick one, I actually feel better about Monangai than I do Swift. Again, on the injury report with a groin injury and missed practice to attend to a personal matter on Friday. That may not matter all that much, but the vibes seem to be that Kyle Monangai has forced a significant committee in the Chicago backfield. I would tread lightly with DeAndre Swift. Luther Burden and Cole Kmet both off the injury report for the Bears. Speaking of the Bears, they will both go for Chicago tomorrow against the New York Giants. Colston Loveland exploded last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. Perhaps that trend continues. Cole Kmet being back healthy for this game does not necessarily make us feel great about those prospects, so I'm not necessarily relying on them to happen. Aaron Jones expects to play for Minnesota tomorrow in a great matchup against Baltimore. He's on the flex radar if you need him. Brian Thomas will not play Week 10 as he's dealing with an ankle injury. The Jags are already down Travis Hunter after he went on injured reserve. They are pretty much relying on Jacoby Myers to come in right away and play a significant role following the trade earlier this week. Brutal matchup for Jacksonville on the road against Houston. I would be looking to avoid all Jacksonville players if I could. You may have to go with Travis Etienne, but Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Myers, Diami Brown, Parker Washington, that's a pretty tough spot for them on the road against Houston. I would rather not with the Jacksonville passing offense this week. Let's see. Penei Sewell, the Lions' standout stud right tackle, is off the injury report for Week 10. He will go. He was on the injury report initially with a shoulder injury. He will suit up for the Lions against Washington, so you feel better about the Lions' offense in general when a stud offensive lineman is healthy and available, as is the case with Penei. Tyrod Taylor's off the injury report for the Jets, but Justin Fields will start for them against Cleveland. No, thank you. I will start Breece Hall. I will start Garrett Wilson. Fields is in the QB2 range, not the QB1 range. Not too much confidence in Justin Fields, although the matchup is brutal. Terry McLaurin is out, no surprise there. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is off the injury report for Week 10. He is comfortably on your bench if he hasn't been dropped outright. Torrey Horton listed doubtful for Week 10 for the Seattle Seahawks. This is a bummer. Groin and shin injuries. It's looking likely to sideline Torrey Horton for Seattle tomorrow against the Arizona Cardinals. Rashid Shaheed is going to probably have to play a significant role for Seattle, similar to Jacoby Myers right away after getting traded. I believe Cooper Kupp is available for this game, or, he's actually listed questionable, so he could be available, but it hasn't been officially confirmed yet. Nick Chubb is off the injury report for Week 10. Him and Woody Marks will continue to split backfield opportunities for Houston against Jacksonville. Tough to feel good about anybody other than Nico Collins for Houston tomorrow. Davis Mills getting the start. C.J. Stroud out with a concussion. So it'll be Davis Mills tomorrow throwing the ball to Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, Jalen Knoll, Jaden Higgins. Can only really feel good about Nico, and I'd rather not play either Houston running back if I don't have to. Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, both out for San Francisco. The 49ers continue to be incredibly annoying with their injury diagnoses and the information that they give to the public. I'm not really sure why Purdy or Pearsall weren't just put on injured reserve weeks ago. They continue to operate in weird ways, and it hasn't cost them wins, so, good for San Francisco, I guess. Mac Jones will draw another start. San Francisco's hopeful that Purdy can return next week. I don't know how much I believe the quarterback controversy, whispers, rumors, whatever you want to call it, coming out of San Francisco. Mac Jones has played well. Time will tell. If he can beat the Rams this week, then that may go a long way in what they ultimately decide to do at quarterback in the short term and potentially rest of the season. And then Pearsall missing his 5th, 6th, 12th straight game. That's what it feels like. So more opportunities for George Kittle, more opportunities for Jawan Jennings. Kendrick Bourne can be fired up in deeper leagues if you need a wide receiver. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, both off the injury report for Philly. They will go on Monday night against the Green Bay Packers. Puka Nacua is off the injury report for Week 10. He will go for the Rams tomorrow against the 40. Puka's off the injury report. He will play for the Rams against the 49ers. Kyler Murray has potentially played his last snap for Arizona. That's fair. He's not good. Matthew Golden's considered day-to-day, did not practice yesterday, could be trending toward missing Monday night against the Eagles. So even more opportunities for Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. Jaden Daniels to miss 3 to 6 weeks. Washington will have to stay in playoff contention for it to make sense for them to bring Jaden Daniels back this year. And they're currently sitting at 3-6, so we're probably looking at the longer recovery timeline than the shorter one. Dontavian Wicks also questionable for Monday night for Green Bay against Philly, so they could be down to just pretty much Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson getting all of the work and that they can handle. All right, those are all the most recent significant fantasy-relevant injury updates that I have, so we can just go ahead and fire off right into your questions. I will start with the members. I'll do my spiel really quickly. I'm sure many of you are already familiar, but in case we have any new faces here today, members get first priority in responses to their questions. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. It does not matter when they send their question, they will get responded to first. If you are interested in becoming a member, you can find more details in the first link in the description of this live stream and all videos and streams on the channel. If you are feeling generous enough to send a super, that would also be a way to jump the line and get your question answered out of order, priority order, and potentially more thorough response and thought going into your question if I feel like it's necessary. If you are not a member and you do not send a super, I will still answer your question, but I do ask for some patience as I work through member and super questions. Appreciate the patience in advance. If you are enjoying the stream, whether you are a member or not, if you could please like the stream, that helps me out for algorithm purposes. Appreciate that in advance. I see Bobby, I see Greg, and those are the two members that I see right now, but obviously we'll keep an eye out if more folks can jump in or do want to jump in. Let's get into the questions. Cortland Sutton did nothing, unfortunately, on Thursday night. So sorry to hear about that, Bobby. He burned me as well in a league. The Broncos' offense is not good right now. Bo Nix doesn't look very good. The offense in general is struggling. This is now back-to-back weeks where they have looked pretty pedestrian, and especially in a good matchup on Thursday night against Vegas, they completely, they failed to deliver. They won the game, but the offense failed to deliver on anything close to, any type of solid, sound expectations that we could have for them. Disappointing. We have to downgrade the Broncos until further notice, until Bo Nix starts to play a little bit better. Troy Franklin did his job, did his thing. And Dobbins had an okay day, but he picked up an injury. So lots to keep an eye on in Denver as it pertains to their offense. And then you need a flex and a defense. Pittman, Slayton, Watson. I would probably play Pittman of these guys. He's just more talented. He's more talented than these dudes. Watson is a deep threat, can make big plays. Tough matchup against Philly, but he could certainly come through with a big play. Slayton, good matchup against the Bears. He's just not as good as Michael Pittman. Neither of them are. Christian Watson's a solid player. Darius Slayton's a solid player. They're not better than Michael Pittman. Neither one of them is. I'm playing Pittman tomorrow against Atlanta. The matchup's not great by the numbers, but the Colts offense has been great this year. And again, Pittman is more talented than Slayton and Watson. I'm playing Pittman. As far as your defense, Houston is obviously one of the better defenses in the NFL, and Jacksonville is down. They're starting wide receivers. They're two starting wide receivers that they came into the season with, Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. Jacoby Myers is being broken in to this defense for the first time. I mean, they're in a great spot. The Rams are in an okay spot, but it is a division game on the road. While I feel just fine about them, that's just it. I feel fine about them. I don't feel great about them. And then Jacksonville, yeah, they've got a decent chance to come through on the road against Davis Mills. Ultimately, it comes down to Houston for me. They are at home. They are the best defense of this trio. And Jacksonville, yes, they have Trevor Lawrence, but honestly, that's not scary. And they're down both Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter, working in basically a brand new wide receiver core as far as starters. Parker Washington assumes a larger role. Jacoby Myers comes over from Vegas. He's playing his first game with Jacksonville. That could be a little difficult. That could be a little challenging. I'll take Houston at home, Bobby. They're the best defense that you have here. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to play the best defense of the group at home, going up against a beaten up offense. Both offenses in that game are beaten up. So I'll take the better of the two defenses. And then Love or McCarthy. Yeah, I mean, Love is down a good number of weapons. He's down Tucker Kraft. He may not have Dontavian Wicks. He may not have Matthew Golden. So he's down to Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. He obviously is already out Jaden Reed. I mean, I guess maybe Savion Williams takes on a slightly larger role. And Luke Musgrave assumes the number one opportunities for Jordan Love. McCarthy at least has Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson to throw the ball to, and it's a pretty good matchup against Baltimore. I would probably play McCarthy. And honestly, at this point in one quarterback leagues, if you can hold on to Love, if there's not somebody on the wire that you have your eye on, that you're looking at, how do I get that guy on my bench? If that's not the case, then you can hold on to Love for another week. But if he doesn't have a good game against the Eagles on Monday night, Love is probably he could be in the range of drop territory in one quarterback leagues. His supporting cast has taken a beating. He's been without Jaden Reed for a while. Now he's down Tucker Kraft the rest of the year. Golden is hurt. Wicks is hurt. I mean, even Josh Jacobs, for whatever it's worth, is banged up. So a lot of guys in the Packers offense banged up right now, if not unavailable outright. I would be keeping Jordan Love on the bench this week, I think. I'll play McCarthy. I would rather if you need to pick up a kicker, Bobby. I might just drop Jordan Love. Maybe now's the time to drop Jordan Love. Um, I wouldn't play him this week, not against Philly. The Packers' offense is bleeding right now; they are hurting. And Tucker Kraft, who was such a huge weapon for them, such a major factor of their offense, not coming back this year. It'll be interesting to see how Love operates without him. I would maybe just drop him outright. Just drop Love outright to pick up your kicker. Let's see. Greg needs help with a trade. You're looking to move Kincaid. That makes sense. You have Trey McBride. Team offered you the Seahawks backfield for him, basically. Yeah, I would do that because you have Dobbins. Dobbins might be set to miss time. Greg, coming out of the Thursday night game against the Raiders, he picked up a foot injury. We don't know the severity yet. We may not know until the weekend or maybe even after the weekend. I don't think Denver has to – they don't need to report on any injuries for a few days because they played the Thursday game. So we may not get too much information for another few days. But if Dobbins misses time, I mean, you need some running backs to kind of fill that gap. Christian McCaffrey's awesome, but you know, Aaron Jones, Woody Marks, those aren't guys that you want to be relying on at this point of the season. Walker and Charbonnet haven't been great, but at least they give you some solid options. Some usable options in a good offense. I would probably just take that trade. If you can get both Seahawks running backs, I can't imagine you're going to get too much better than that. Yeah, I mean, Wandale would be nice in full PPR. I imagine Devontae Smith is too expensive for such an offer. I don't want Olave, Chase Brown, Javonte, like those last four names. Like they'd be insane to trade those guys. Yeah, I would probably just take that trade if you can. And then let's see, Bobby. No, I answered that one. McCarthy. Is Sean Tucker worth a pickup? No. I know Bucky. Sean Tucker only gets mop up duties when the Bucks are blowing teams out. I mean, it's pretty much Rachaad White, and if something happens to Rachaad White, then sure, fine. Sean Tucker becomes more relevant. But if you're already squeezed for roster spots, don't you need a kicker anyway? No, I would just pick up your kicker and keep it moving. I wouldn't worry about Sean Tucker. I can't imagine the Bucks blow out the Patriots even at home. And therefore Sean Tucker's not going to have a role. Sean Tucker has a role when the Bucks are blowing teams out. And they can run the ball just to kill clock in the second half. That's when Sean Tucker gets in the game. So, no, I'm not picking him up. I'm not picking him up. And then, Greg, you're looking for a defense to stream. The Colts against the Falcons, no, not without Buckner. The Jets just traded everybody, so no. The Bears, no. I mean, they could be okay, but not like that's not great. Tampa might be all right. They do get a banged up. They're at home and they do get a banged up Patriots offense. No Ramondre Stevenson, no Keyshawn Butte. Tampa's got a talented group, so that one might be fine. Philly's playing the Packers on the road. I mean, that's a tough spot. That's a tough spot to be in. And the Vikings are playing Lamar, so no thank you. The Steelers' defense stinks, so no thank you. I think my answer here, Greg, is Tampa. They at least have a good unit. They're at home. Yes, they are banged up on offense, but so is New England. And Drake May is playing at an incredibly high level. But it is a home game for Tampa. They have a good unit. I don't think Hassan Reddick is playing for them, so that is an edge rusher that they'll be without in this game. That does hurt their depth a little bit. But top to bottom, Tampa's got a solid defense. Patriots are missing a couple of key pieces on offense. And Tampa's at home. That's probably where I would go of that group. That's where I would go of that group. You are free to counter on the trade for whatever. Feel free to say, hey, give me Chase Brown. He hasn't been as good without Burrow. Oh, Javante's on bye. You can't use him this week. Let me have him. Of course, always feel free to go for it. But if they say no, then I would. If they say no, then I would say, okay, fine, I'll take the Seahawks running backs. And you could play probably still have to go Walker over Charbonnet. But you could play Walker at home against Arizona if you can make the trade happen before the weekend or before tomorrow. And no, I would play. I think I would pick up Tampa this week because they're the home team. If you want to stick with the Patriots, that's up to you. But both of these quarterbacks in this game are playing at an incredibly high level. Baker and Drake May, May and Mayfield. It's the May off tomorrow between Tampa and New England. I mean, feel free if you want to, but I would lean the home team. And again, Drake May looks awesome, but it is his second year, so he could be prone to a tough spot here. Mayfield's a seasoned vet. I would play Tampa. I would play, of your options, I would play the Tampa defense. Yeah. Okay. I think I got all the questions from Bobby and Greg so far. Those are my members. Again, if you're interested in becoming a member of the channel and therefore getting your questions answered much faster, you can find those details in the first link in the description of this live stream. To the top of the chat, and appreciate everybody's patience. Gadsden or Loveland? This is like a respectfully, this is a clear-cut answer for me. It's Gadsden, and it's not close. Gadsden's been incredible since he has been inserted in the starting lineup for the Chargers. I think Herbert is having a lot of success throwing the ball to him. It's a beautiful matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their defense is a shell of itself, a shell of what it used to be, of what we typically come to expect from a Pittsburgh Steelers defense. It's not good. And they're getting killed by tight ends in particular this year. So give me Gadsden. Loveland popped off against the Cincinnati Bengals, who I don't know that they have more than like 3 or 4 NFL caliber talents on their team. Either that or they're, or Al Golden forgot how to coach. It could be one or the other. Or whoever their defensive coordinator is now. It doesn't matter. It's a horrendous unit. It's a horrendous team. It's a defense that I want to target in every way that I can. It's a different animal this week, playing the New York Giants, who do have a respectful defense. Kmet is back in the lineup for them. He suffered a concussion. He was forced out of the game early, gave Loveland a few more opportunities, and he took advantage. He popped off. The Bears would probably be smart to get him more involved moving forward, but I think I need to see it another time in a row before I go back to Loveland over somebody like Gadsden, who has been amazing and has a much better matchup. Much better matchup. Let's see. And Greg, you have you're looking at a kicker question. If Chase McLaughlin is available, I would pick up Chase McLaughlin. He's been awesome. He is good. He's at home. The Bucks are favored slightly. They're not big favorites, but they are slight favorites. If McLaughlin was dropped because he was on bye last week, pick him up. He's your guy for the rest of the season. At least he could be. That's for sure. I mean, he's got at least one made field goal in every game. He's kicked at least 3 field goals, successfully converted 3 field goals in 4 of 8 games this year. So half of the time he's giving you 3 field goals. Yeah, I would just grab McLaughlin. I would grab Chase McLaughlin. And let's see. Bobby has a trade question. I would wait to do this for a week if you can. Because T. Higgins is on bye. So you can't use him this week. So you're basically giving up a 2-for-1 on a week where you need a win. You're 4-5. You need a win. You're trading away a piece that would be in your lineup this week, and then you have to fill it with probably a lesser player. Yes, you'd be getting Saquon, but honestly, right now, Rico's not far behind, and you wouldn't be able to use T. Higgins this week. I'm not uninterested in this deal, Bobby, but I'm not taking it this week. Not while T. Higgins is on bye. I would wait. I would just play your players, get that, try to get that 5th win, go back to 500. We can revisit this conversation next week when Higgins is back from his bye week. I'm not, and I know Pittman is about to go on bye after this week, but that's their problem, not yours. If you do decide to revisit and successfully able to make the trade, I'm not making this trade this week though, because you can't use T. Higgins. He's on bye. Keep your players who are playing this week. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not acquiring a player on bye unless I'm 7-2. I'm 6-3. I'm in great shape. I can start planning and molding for the playoffs. But if I'm battling for a playoff spot, I'm not trading for somebody who's currently on a bye this week. It would have to be a lopsided offer in my favor, and I'm not in the business of trying to swindle people like in an obvious fleece job. No, keep your players. I would not make that trade. Let's see. Desperation play. Oh boy. Corum or Terrell Jennings. I mean, Corum gets San Francisco. That's not a bad matchup. Jennings gets the Patriots. That is a tough matchup. Corum last week got 13 carries. They were on bye in week 8, and in week 7 he got 12 carries. So Corum has, 25 carries in his past 2 games combined. That's pretty damn good. He doesn't catch the ball at all. And then Jennings last week got the touchdown, but it was Henderson who handled like most of the snaps and touches. Jennings got 11 carries last week. He turned it into 35 yards for a score. He also had 1 9-yard catch. Corum, second-year player, he's getting similar snap shares, like somewhere in the 25 to 30% range. So he's getting snaps at the same clip, at the same rate that Jennings got last week. This is a tough matchup against Tampa. Oh boy. I'll say Corum. I'll say Corum. He has 25 carries in it combined his past 2 games, and it's a better matchup than what Jennings has. I'll say Corum. cut one? AJ, Addison, Pittman? None. I mean, why? Why? I guess do you need, I guess you need to pick up a kicker. You need to pick up like a quarterback. Do you need to pick somebody up to play this week? Like, why? I'm not cutting. I don't want to cut AJ Brown. I don't want to cut Addison. I don't want to cut Pittman. I don't want to cut any of these guys. What's the reason? Like, what's the like and who's on the rest of the roster? Because I don't want to drop any of those players. They all deserve to be on a roster. Yeah, I'm not cutting any one of those players. Let me know what the reasoning is, like, behind the question. Full PPR, you have to sit one between Olave, Quentin, and DK Metcalf. I am not a fan of this Saints offense without Rashid Shaheed. It's not a great matchup by the numbers. I do not love Olave here. I mean, I guess he has a better role than he has a more guaranteed role than one of your than these other two guys. I just don't love the matchup, or I just don't love the situation for Olave. I would play Quentin Johnston. It's a good matchup against Pittsburgh. He's clearly all or nothing. He's very hit or miss, but this is a great matchup against Pittsburgh. I would think QJ should come through here. He should be fine in a good matchup against Pittsburgh. Metcalf is in a brutal matchup on the other side of this thing. They play the Sunday night game tomorrow night. The Chargers are solid against opposing wide receivers. I'll say sit Metcalf. The matchup is not good. I do not love the spot Olave is in the rest of the year with this offense and the rest of the talent available around him to potentially, open things up for him. But I guess he could get 12 targets tomorrow. In a not great but decent enough matchup against Carolina. I'll say play Olave, play Quentin Johnston, sit DK. And then start Chuba or DeMercado? Probably DeMercado. DeMercado got more opportunities last week in his return to the lineup. Chuba has been relegated to straight-up backup. At least for DeMercado, like, Bam Knight is whatever. He's a special teamer. And Trey Benson, I don't think, is back yet. He's not. I didn't see any update about Benson or his availability this week. So I assume he is still out. There's been no updates on Trey Benson. So, yeah, I mean, I would play DeMercado. Chuba is firmly behind Rico Dowdle. And it's shaping up to be, it could be that way the rest of the season. I would play DeMercado. That's where I would go. Yeah. And then really quickly, let me get the kicker question from Bobby. I don't want Cairo Santos. I don't really like the weather's probably going to be bad in Chicago tomorrow, so I don't really want to play Cairo Santos. Badgley is in Berlin. I don't know what the weather is in Berlin, to be honest. McManus is the kicker for the Packers on Monday night. That might be where I go. I might say play McManus. The Packers should be fine at home moving the ball, but again, their lack of the injuries that they've sustained on offense, could make it tough for them to finish drives. They could stall out here and there, and that would set up McManus for some field goal opportunities. That's probably where I would go. I would go McManus, Bobby, as your kicker. Not Santos. Not Cam Little against Houston. And I don't want to mess with that. Santos, I don't trust with the weather in Chicago. I'll take McManus. Sport Dog, what's going on? You have a choice. Oh, Jackson. It has to be Lamar. It has to. You got to play. It has to be Lamar Jackson. I mean, I know there's not a whole lot. I'm not giving you much, but like, it's Lamar. He's a top 3 quarterback every week for fantasy and the NFL. Like, he's Lamar freaking Jackson. He's a 2-time MVP. Drake May looks great, but it's Lamar. Like, that's all I got for you. I have to play Lamar Jackson. I have to play Lamar. Good matchup. Decent matchup anyway. No weather concerns. Playing in the dome. Yeah, it's got to be Lamar. It's got to be Lamar. Yeah. 10 days off since his last game. Yeah, give me Lamar. Where's my spot in line? I have it. It's right here. Best defense of the Colts, the Chargers, the Jets, or the Jaguars? Honestly, no, I don't really want to play any of them. I guess the Chargers. They're at home. Obviously, Rodgers is typically a matchup I want to avoid, but he is 41 at this point. It's not, it's not Rodgers from 6-7 years ago, or even a few years ago. So I guess I would go LA. I don't want to play the Colts. They just lost to DeForest Buckner for a minimum of 4 games. The Jets just traded everybody. They traded Quinnen Williams. They traded Sauce Gardner. So I don't really want to play the Jets ever again this year. The Jags, yeah, they got a decent matchup against Houston. Davis Mills, lackluster offensive line. Okay. Maybe I'll switch to Jacksonville. I don't have a ton of confidence in them, but I guess it's at least a decent matchup. Stroud is out. Davis Mills is in. They can't run the ball, Houston. So they are somewhat one-dimensional. All right, I'll say Jacksonville. I thought about the Chargers, but I'll say Jacksonville. Playing Davis Mills. Would I trade Garrett Wilson for Achane? If you're acquiring Achane, yeah, I'm fine with that. You're getting a stud running back for a good, very good wide receiver in a horrendous situation. Not that Achane is in a much better situation, but the play calling for Miami is better than the play calling in New York. Achane is a top 5 running back when he's right, when he's healthy, when he's catching the ball. Yeah, I would if I'm acquiring Achane, I would do this trade. Yeah, I would make that deal. As long as your wide receivers aren't this is my whole thing. Like, If you are acquiring Achane and your running backs are already loaded and you're trading away Garrett Wilson and your wide receivers are kind of weak, then maybe I don't do the deal. But if your wide receivers are okay, if you've got some solid options there and you could use some running backs or a running back, specifically a top 5 to 7 one any given week, then yeah, I would take the deal. I would take that trade. Let's see. 3 of 5 in full PPR. Devontae, Nico, Debo, Olave, Jaylen Warren. I'll be honest, this is kind of straightforward to me. I will take the 3 players in the it's a talent level thing and it's a situation thing. Devontae Smith is in a good environment, a good situation, so I'm playing him. Jaylen Warren is in a good offensive environment, and the Steelers, for all of their issues, they are a plus 500 and over 500 team. And Warren has been committed to by the Steelers. They are giving him the ball as a bell cow, so I'm definitely playing Jaylen Warren. And I'll play Nico. The situation's not stellar, but he is the most talented, I think, of this group. And so I don't want to bench the most talented player. Olave is talented, but he's in a brutal New Orleans offense. And Debo is in a brutal situation as well. You know, Marcus Mariota, the Commanders' season is spiraling out before our eyes. And Debo's older. You know, he's lost a step. Just because he's got a wide receiver 1 workload doesn't make me feel super strongly about him. Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, Jaylen Warren, those are the 3 that I'm playing from this group. And sorry, Greg, I missed this just popping in, but I'm going to jump down to it and grab it now. 2 wide receivers in the flex. Well, you're playing Nico, you're playing Garrett Wilson, and comes down to, I guess, Keenan in full PPR, like Keenan Allen versus Aaron Jones. I mean, Aaron Jones was on the injury report, but he is going to assume lead back duties for the Vikings tomorrow, I think, over Jordan Mason in a good matchup against Baltimore at home. Keenan has been kind of quiet over the past couple of weeks. It's a good matchup against Pittsburgh, but he's been kind of quiet recently. I'll say Aaron Jones for you as your flex, Greg. I would play Nico. I would play Garrett Wilson. I would play Aaron Jones. Those are, I think, your 3 best plays. I like Keenan Allen, but he's been quiet recently. So let's go with the younger, currently better wide receivers, and then I'll take the veteran running back in Aaron Jones. That's what I want. Ryland Prater, a kicker question. Ryland gets Seattle on the road. I don't like that as much as I maybe liked pieces of Arizona's offense last week. Prater gets Miami in Miami. That's not bad. Jake Elliott gets the Packers in Green Bay. I don't want to play Jake Elliott. It's just how frequently the Eagles go for it on 4th down because of the tush push. Jake Elliott is a good kicker, but he's not a great fantasy kicker because he has fewer opportunities. With the Eagles going for it and converting so frequently on 4th down, it eliminates field goal opportunities that other offenses have more in abundance. So I don't really want to play Elliott. And then Fitzgerald, I mean, he had a really nice kick, a really big clutch kick for Carolina last week. I don't know that I necessarily want to go back to the well with him, but it is a good matchup. And he could end up doing a little bit more. Tet McMillan is on the injury report with a hamstring injury. Yeah, he's been up and down. I would probably go, of this group, I'll say Prater. I'll go with the Bills. I think they're going to, they're like 10-point favorites to Miami. over Miami. They should score plenty of points. There should be plenty of scoring opportunities. I like having a guy attached to an offense led by Josh Allen. I'll take Prater from this group. I'll take Prater from this group. We're offered Rice for Dak, Swift, and Marv. You have Caleb and Darnold. You have Rice. You would be taking Dak, Swift, and Marv for Rashee Rice. If I'm reading this correctly, it looks like you already have Rashee Rice. I'm not trading Rashee Rice for that. You already have two quarterbacks, so you don't need a third. Swift is in a timeshare with Monangai. Marv is in a better situation now that Kyler's not his quarterback, but this is Rashee Rice we're talking about. No, I'm not trading Rashee Rice for that. No, I'm keeping Rashee Rice for the rest of the season. You know what it'll take for me to trade Rashee Rice? If you offer me Jamar Chase. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take Jamar Chase. It's going to take CeeDee Lamb. It's going to take Jonathan Taylor. It's going to take Bijan Robinson. It's going to take Jahmyr Gibbs. It's going to take Christian McCaffrey. That's who I will trade Rashee Rice for. Another bona fide stud, because that's what Rashee Rice is, a bona fide stud. Yeah, I'm not trading Rice for like a 3-for-1 when that's the 3. No way. No shot. Offer me Jamar Chase and then sure, fine, I'll give you Rashee Rice. Offer me Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, fine. Fine, we can talk. That's what I'll trade Rashee Rice for. Puka, JSN. Okay, fine. Yeah, no, I'm not trading Rashee Rice. No shot. Let's see. Schultz, Musgrave, Otten, or I think that's Jawan Johnson. And you don't want to start 3 Bears. That's understandable. Schultz gets Jacksonville. Could be looking at an expanded opportunity. If Houston continues to struggle to run the ball. But I believe they're fully healthy at wide receiver. Musgrave steps into a full-time role. I don't know that I trust him yet, and that's not a great matchup against the Eagles. Otten's in a good spot. Otten's in a pretty good spot. He's got an expanded opportunity. Bucky Irving is out. Chris Godwin is out. Mike Evans is done for the year in all likelihood. I mean, I would probably play Otten. It's not the best matchup against the Patriots, but it is a good opportunity at home. I would probably go Cade Otten here. And I don't want to play John. I just don't want any parts of the New Orleans Saints week to week. I would play Otten over Loveland as well, even if you didn't have Monangai and Odunze, just for whatever it's worth. I'll take Otten here. I think he's a solid play with with so many guys on the Bucs banged up. I'll take Otten. Is Tillman a good stash? I mean, in deeper leagues, sure. I'm not worried about him in a 10-team league. I'm probably not worried about him yet in a 12-team league. I do like the talent. I don't love the situation, the offense. I don't know if Dylan Gabriel is, I don't know how many fantasy relevant players he can support in his rookie campaign. A 14-team league, sure, fine. You could take a chance on Tillman. 10-team league, I'll wait a week or two. So it just depends. It depends on the wide receivers that you have available to you now, the number of roster spots you have available, who would you be dropping to pick him up. There's a lot of different variables, that go into that. Start Pittman or Breece in a must-win game. I mean, it's not a good matchup for Breece Hall, but it is Breece Hall. And then Pittman is in a decent matchup against the Falcons and has been a wide receiver 1 this year. If it's full PPR, I would probably pay Pittman. Honestly, if it's half PPR, Pittman has a compelling case as well. You say it's a must-win game, but I don't know your scoring, and I do not know how you are feeling about your current matchup. Do you feel like you are a favorite? Do you like your odds? Do you like your chances this week? Then maybe play it safe and go with the running back who we know will get volume even though it's a bad matchup, and play Breece. If you think you need to be aggressive, if it's full PPR scoring and you need to get a guy, if you're I need to swing for the chances that Pittman can get 8 catches for 90-plus yards and a score, and in full PPR, there's that's a, corralling 7, 8, 9 catches would go a long way. Pittman might be the more aggressive play. Breece is maybe the safer play, the floor play, but it's a bad matchup, so keep that in mind. If it's half PPR and you feel like you're in good shape, then play Breece. If it's half PPR or full PPR and you feel like you might need to be a little aggressive, then maybe play Pittman. Depends on your situation. Jamo, Shakir, or Adunze. I mean, Shakir's in a pretty good spot. I still believe in Adunze, even though he's been quiet recently. And then Jamo had a nice game last week, but he has mostly been up and down this year. Jamo, as always, is your boom bust all or nothing play. If you feel like Jamo is the perfect guy to have if you feel like you're an underdog. Jamo is a great guy to have if you feel like you're an underdog, because then you can just say, screw it, I can swing for the fences. If I get Jamo's floor and my opponent produces performs the way that is expected to go, then I probably wasn't going to win anyway. But if I get that 40-yard touchdown or that big play that Jamo is capable of making, then I'm going to feel better about my decision. So if you're an underdog, I would play Jamo. If it's not, if you feel like it's an even match or a fair, it's kind of a 50-50 match, or it could go in either direction. And I'm not talking about looking at projections. I'm talking about looking at the match, looking at your guys versus your opponent's guys, and telling yourself what you think. Don't look at the projections. Look at the players. And make an unbiased call. If you feel like if it's an evenly matched, or you feel like you're a slight favorite, then maybe I would go Shakir in full PPR, or Adunze in half PPR. Scoring matters, situation matters. What you feel like you are up against any given week matters. If you're the best team in the league, then you can play it safe every week. If you're the worst team in the league, or you're on the outside looking in for the playoffs and you've had injuries and you need to be aggressive, then you need to swing for the fences. So Jamo, if you're an underdog, I would say Shakir if it's an even match and full PPR. And then maybe if it's half PPR and you feel good about your chances, then maybe you can swing for Adunze. And I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm trying to give you different scenarios here, depending on what it is that you feel like you're up against this week. I do that a lot. If you guys have a question and it's just pick one between these 2 or 3 guys, It's like, okay, well, I'll throw you questions back, and that's like, but I'm doing it hopefully in a helpful way. Like, what is your situation? And then feel free to follow up with me, what you have going on, and maybe we have like if maybe we come to a clearer decision if we have some nitty gritty details. Let's see. Do you switch out Loveland for... yes, I would switch out Loveland for Otten. I would switch out Loveland for Otten. Do you switch out Pierce for Davis Mills? Ugh, I mean... I might play Davis. I might do both of those switches. Davis Mills isn't great, but generally speaking, I want to play a quarterback unless it's a slam dunk. Unless it's a bona fide like RB1 or a guy who is walking into a bell cow situation, stud wide receiver, okay, fine. But otherwise, I kind of want to play a quarterback and hope for the best. I would make both of those swaps. I would take Loveland out for Otten. I like his opportunity tomorrow for Tampa. Once again, no Godwin, no Evans, no Bucky Irving. Lots of opportunities available in the passing attack for Tampa, so I'll take Otten instead of Loveland. And yes, in a super flex format, I would play a quarterback over... I like Alec Pierce. He's having a nice season. But, something that would be close to Pierce's ceiling could be closer to like a middle-of-the-road game for Davis Mills. If Davis Mills tosses 2 touchdowns tomorrow, then it's going to be hard for Alec Pierce to top that. Yeah, I'll take Otten and Mills over Loveland and Pierce. Yeah. Okay, what else we got? Oh, leave out of the line. Oh, thank God. I was like, oh my God, we can't be dropping these guys. I don't care who's on the wire. Okay, thank you for that correction. AJ Brown, Jordan Addison, Michael Pittman. So it's like, who do you leave out of your lineup? I'm playing AJ Brown. That's first and foremost for me. He's been such a stud. Not this year, but over the course of his career. He's healthy. It's a big game. The Eagles are coming out of their bye week. Massive Monday night with massive playoff implications for both of these teams. The Eagles and the Packers, 2 of the better teams in the NFC. Give me A.J. Brown. Okay, I'll take A.J. Brown. And then, Pittman and Addison are both good players too. I quite like them. I think Pittman is closer to being his team's wide receiver 1 than Addison is. Not I think, I know. Justin Jefferson is literally on the other side for the Minnesota Vikings, so Addison can't be the wide receiver 1. Pittman is. I'll take Pittman and A.J. Brown. And you could argue A.J. Brown's been the Eagles' wide receiver 2 this year, but it's still A.J. freaking Brown. I can't take him out of my lineup. I just can't. And he had a nice performance. It was week 6. And then did he play? And then he didn't play. Did he play week 7? He didn't play week 8. And then last week was the Eagles' bye week. Let me see. Or week 7, he performed really well. 4 for 121, 2 scores. Didn't play against the Giants. Yeah, I mean, it's A.J. Brown. I'm playing A.J. Brown, and I'll take Pittman as well. He's been quite good this year. Yeah. Give me A.J. Brown. Give me Michael Pittman. Traded Addison, Bill, and Hunter Henry for Diggs, Woody Marks, and Mason Taylor. moved off of Bill, acquired Woody Marks. I mean, Diggs is his team's wide receiver 1, so I do prefer him to Addison. And getting Drake May, or you have Drake May, so getting Diggs, he was a little bit more valuable to you than Addison was. Krosky Merritt versus Woody Marks is kind of a push. And then Hunter Henry for Mason Taylor. I mean, I'd rather have Henry, but that's okay as like complementary pieces in this trade. Yeah, I think I'm fine with this. And it's, the other guy, the running backs and the tight ends in this trade are kind of like pieces to kind of complete the deal. So I don't mind too much about I don't worry too much about those pieces. For me, it's Diggs versus Addison, and while I like both, I'd rather have Diggs. He's the team's wide receiver 1, and with you having Drake May, Diggs, again, is more valuable to you than Jordan Addison is. So, yeah, I think you made a good move. I think you made a good move. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I like that trade. Yeah. And at least Woody could still reemerge because he's splitting opportunities with Nick Chubb, who is at the end, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'm good with that. Slayton or Demario Douglas. And, yes, it should be noted, it's a good call out. I think the weather in Chicago is going to be bad tomorrow. I'll check. But the last I saw, we were looking at like 50%. 90% chance of precipitation. Wait, nope, that's today. Okay, still a 40% chance of precipitation, but 20-mile-per-hour winds. No, thank you. Do not. I would highly suggest, if you have Cairo Santos, who has been solid this year, I would not play him tomorrow in this game. 20-mile-per-hour winds for a kicker? No, thanks. Just a quick tidbit for anybody who may have Cairo Santos. I would drop him outright for another option this week in case you have him. Just throwing it out there. Okay, back on topic, but it was a good call out. The weather in Chicago might be crap tomorrow. Demario Douglas gets a boost with no Kayshawn, but he still will be working with competing with Diggs and Mac Hollins and who else they have up there at wide receiver? Maybe that's it. Of course, Hunter Henry. Slayton in potentially bad weather tomorrow. Not in a necessarily bad situation. The matchup is good. He had 5 for 62 in week 9. He had 2 for 26 week 8. He is a full-time player for them. Slayton is. Douglas, 4 for 100 and a touchdown. I think he had a long catch, I think, last week, like a long catch and run. Just one 44-yard catch in week 8. I mean, that's a nice big play, but it's just one play. I'll say Douglas without Kayshon Boutte in the mix. He should see a few more opportunities. And especially because the weather in Chicago is looking dicey. I would say keep an eye on the weather reports tomorrow. If it miraculously clears up and it's not going to be too windy and and there's not going to be any precipitation, then okay, fine, you could pivot back to Slayton. But because the weather is expected to be bad in Chicago and Kayshon Boutte is out for New England, I'll say Demario Douglas is the better flex play. I'll say Douglas is better. Okay, I see questions from Steven. I see questions from Kevin, Natasha, KJ. Sit tight. appreciate y'all's patience. Let me quickly get to Bobby. Again, member questions get responded to in priority order. That's a perk of being a member of the channel. But I have my spot in line. I will get back to you guys. What do we do with no? I'm not doing anything with Courtland Sutton, Bobby. I know he's been disappointing, but like, what are you gonna? You have to keep in mind when you're thinking of like, do I trade this player who is not performing well right now? What could you conceivably get for him? If somebody came to me in any league that I'm in and said, "I'll give you Courtland Sutton," it's like, all right, I'll give you Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Like, I'm not going to give you anything for him because he hasn't been performing well right now. My point is, you kind of have to live with these lull periods. You kind of have to live with the downturns, the poor performances, and wait for them to get their value back up. Because if you trade a guy at his lowest point, then you're not going to get anything good in return for him. At least that's my typical experience. Like, if somebody's performing poorly, someone's not going to want to give you one of their better players to acquire that guy until he shows some better performances, put some better performances out there on paper. You kind of have to hold. You have to hold Courtland Sutton. You have to hold underperforming players. Otherwise, you're selling for pennies on the dollar, and you're not going to get as good value in a trade. And then what happens if the player that you trade does better, does well, and all of a sudden is not on your team anymore, right? So I would do nothing. I would hold Courtland Sutton. I wouldn't trade him because if it were me, I'm not giving you anything that good for him. I'll give you Woody Marks for Courtland Sutton. I will give you a low-end running back or a mid-tier wide receiver for him. If that. It might not even be mid-tier. It might be lower tier. So you're holding. You're holding and hoping. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You're holding and you're hoping, but you're not dropping and you're not trading. I see Kevin joined as a member. Appreciate you joining on, Kevin. You will now get priority responses to questions. Thank you for the support. So with that, I can grab the question that you have. And I know where it is. Hold on. Got it. Is Purdy still a concern in Dynasty? Yeah, I mean, I literally was thinking about this in a Superflex league the other day. Because I have a situation where I'm kind of like a fringe team. I went through a rebuild 2 years ago, and now it's kind of on the upswing. I'm young, and I'm taking my lumps. I'm not great. I'm 4-5. I think I've got like the 6th or 7th most points scored. It's only like it's an okay team, but it's young and up and coming at least. I thought to myself, do I try to acquire Purdy because the person in my league who has Purdy has a bad team and is rebuilding. So now, like, do I sell assets for Purdy? And I kept coming back to, I don't really want to trade draft capital for Brock Purdy right now. And I know he's got the contract, but the injuries are the absences anyway, because of injury, are piling up this year. Mac Jones is playing well. The 49ers have always been shady with their injury designations and updates under Kyle Shanahan. So I don't really trust them right now. I don't trust the 49ers. So when you tell me that Brock Purdy might be back week 11, I don't believe you. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. But if I get another update on next Wednesday, that Brock Purdy's not practicing, at this point, I'm not going to be surprised. It's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. We're at that. It's like with the 49ers, it's like fool me 15 times. They are so notoriously shady with their injury updates. I don't really trust how healthy Purdy is right now. When you combine that with Mac Jones is playing decently for them, and I know we're talking about dynasty, so we're talking about years, but again, this is a murky, cloudy situation, shady situation. I don't really want to invest in anybody on that team right now. So no, I do not want to buy Purdy in dynasty. Could it work out ultimately? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But I would rather not. I would rather not invest in him. If you could get him for like a second round pick, then okay, fine. But in a Superflex format, he's not going to go for that cheap. Yeah. You could try like a second round pick if you really want. But I am not I'm not offering a first round pick for Brock Purdy in Dynasty and Superflex. I'm not. There's too much uncertainty right now. Too much uncertainty. Yeah. Let me know if you have any other questions with that, Kevin, or anything else in general. Appreciate you joining on as a member. I got this question. I said Pop Douglas. Need upside. You're picking 3 between Rachaad White, Debo, Wan'Dale, Dobbs, or Tet. I would play Dart instead of Darnold because of his rushing upside. Darnold is playing well, but I'll take you just said you need upside, so I'll take Dart. He runs. Darnold doesn't run as much. And then White, Debo, Wan'Dale, Dobbs, or Tet. Tet's on the injury report with a hamstring injury, so I don't feel great about him. Debo is old, lost a step, and the Commanders' offense stinks without Jaden Daniels. So I think by default, my answer is Rachaad White, Wan'Dale Robinson, who, yes, he could be dealing with bad weather in Chicago, but windy conditions maybe doesn't affect short and intermediate pass attempts as much as long throws. Deep routes. So Wan'Dale should be fine. Rachaad White's going to get a bell cow workload, so I'm going with him. And I'll take Dobbs. I'll take Romeo Dobbs. Tucker Kraft is down for the count for Green Bay. Matthew Golden may not play. Dontavian Wicks may not play. I mean, we're pretty much down to Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, and like Savion Williams as the Packers' healthy wide receivers because Jaden Reed's not back yet either. Because Tet is on the injury report with a hamstring, this is actually kind of clear for me. Rachaad White, Wan'Dale Robinson, Romeo Dobbs, and I'm playing Dart over Darnold for the rushing upside. Let's see. I got the trade question about Rice. Kicker question. Wright, who is going to be Houston's kicker. Remember, he's not Kaimi Fairbairn, so not really feeling that. Myers at home against Arizona. That could be fine. Santos, no. I'm not playing Santos in the Chicago weather tomorrow. The wind, like 20-mile-per-hour winds is the forecast. No thank you on Santos. I will take McManus. I will take McManus. He's at home. Big matchup against the Eagles. The Packers' offense should be fine at home moving the ball, but it wouldn't surprise me to see them stall out a couple of times. No Tucker Kraft. Matthew Golden may not play. Dontavian Wicks may not play. Like, they're banged up. Their passing core is banged up. They're down to Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, Savion Williams, and Luke Musgrave as their primary offensive playmakers. They could stall out a couple of times in scoring opportunities, in scoring position. That would set up McManus for some field goals in a primetime matchup between two teams that expect to contend for the 1 seed in the conference. I'll take McManus. Pick a flex. Swift, Warren, Shakir, Henderson. Damn, you've got some good options here. I want to play Travion Henderson. I want to play Khalil Shakir. I want to play Kyle Monangai, but you have to play Jaylen Warren. He's been awesome. He's in a bell cow role. It's not too bad of a matchup against the Chargers. Like, I like Henderson, but it's not a good matchup, and Jennings is there to steal work. You have both Bears running backs that might be a pain in the ass to try to sort out as well. I don't know who's going to lead the backfield tomorrow. It could be Monangai, but then Swift could annoyingly be involved, or vice versa, and then they're cannibalizing each other. I'll take Warren. I'll take Warren. He has that backfield pretty much to himself. Kenny Gainwell is just a change of pace guy right now, and Caleb Johnson is not a factor. I would play Jaylen Warren. You have a lot of playable guys, though. Like, I want to play Warren. I want to play Shakir. I want to play Henderson. I want to play Monangai. It sucks that you can't play more than just one of those names, but I'm playing Jaylen Warren. I'm playing the clear-cut bell cow running back of this group, and that's Warren. Hey, what's going on, Alex? Good to see you, man. I would play Gadsden this week for sure. He has been unbelievable since taking over as the starting tight end for the Chargers. Herbert clearly trusts him. It's a beautiful matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are getting cooked by opposing tight ends this season. Primetime game, primetime matchup. I want Gadsden. I want Gadsden in that matchup against Pittsburgh. Absolutely. You know, Loveland popped last week. Let's see if he can do it 2 weeks in a row in a tougher matchup. Cole Kmet is back healthy for this game. He started last week, but he exited early because of the concussion. He has been cleared. He will play. He will suit up for the Giants. So I don't know if Loveland's opportunities will be curtailed because of that. And then Kincaid. Kincaid is solid. I like Kincaid as well. He's in a good spot. Buffalo's passing offense has been kind of up and down this year, not because of anything Josh Allen is doing, just out of necessity. They are once again doing their thing. They're blowing out inferior teams, and they may do that tomorrow against Miami. I'll take Gadsden in a primetime close spot, close matchup against Pittsburgh. Give me Gadsden. And then, again, I'm getting my member questions. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. I appreciate everybody's patience. I'm not skipping anybody. I see your questions. I will get to it. If you asked something and you think I didn't get to it, we can repost it. We can repost it a little bit later. Full PPR, Jefferson, Pittman, Watson. The first two, Bobby. I mean, you're playing Jefferson every week. He's not coming out of your lineup. And then, again, Pittman is a better player than Christian Watson. I like Christian Watson's big play upside. Pittman is the more complete receiver in the better offense. Jefferson and Pittman. And then Alex, PPR, Vidal, Odunze, or Downs. So Vidal kind of fell off last week, right? But it's not a bad matchup. Odunze has been quiet the past couple of weeks. I do like him, but I guess the wind tomorrow could be a problem. Downs is... I like Josh Downs, but I feel like he's not a 100% full-time player for the Colts right now. Pittman and Pierce are the guys that they deploy in 2 wide receiver sets, which means Downs is limited to 3 receiver sets. And he can still do some damage, but it's not a full-time role, so he has to come through with elite efficiency every week. I'll go back to the well with Vidal. It's a perfectly fine matchup against Pittsburgh. I'll take the guy attached to Justin Herbert. And he should continue to get plenty of volume. You know, Amarian Hampton, Najee Harris, Hassan Haskins, all on injured reserve. We're down to like Jarrett Patterson is the guy that potentially takes opportunities from Vidal. I'll go back to the well with Vidal for one more week. Yeah. I'll go Vidal. And then Kevin, start Juwan or Hawkinson in it's not tight end premium. Hawkinson has been disappointing this year. Has not been great. I guess Juwan Johnson is more of a is more streamable for me than Hawkinson because you know Hawkinson contends with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison for opportunities. Juwan, yes, Taysom Hill is back. I think Foster Moreau might be back as well. So it's a bit of a hodgepodge at tight end for the Saints, but they just traded Rashid Shaheed. So, you know, there's plenty of opportunities available in the Saints offense. now that Shaheed is gone. So I'll say Jawan. We're chasing a bit of we're chasing a touchdown from last week, so that's always a dangerous game. But Hawkinson has just become so unreliable from a fantasy perspective. It's a good matchup, and he's at home, but Jefferson and Addison are the ones that are getting all the opportunities. Hawkinson's a distant third when both of those guys suit up, so I'll take Jawan. Don't love Jawan because of his situation, but I'll take him. I'll take Jawan. Okay. Okay, I got this question. My answer was Jaylen Warren. Need one wide receiver between Parker Washington, Alec Pierce, or Darius Slayton. I think this is where I would say Pierce. Of these guys, I'll say Pierce. What's the weather in Berlin? Do they play in a dome? I don't know if they're going to play in a dome. It is 1 a.m. right now or it's 1:30, I think, in the morning in Berlin or something like that. It looks like we are going to have no rain, no wind. Might be a little cold. It might be in the 50s tomorrow in Berlin. But no rain, no wind, so that's not a concern. Parker Washington is going to see an expanded role, but it's against Houston. That's like the worst matchup for opposing wide receivers. And Slayton is dealing with weather tomorrow. We're expecting at least the forecast right now. I'm just going to keep saying this like for everybody. Like Bears, Giants. Right now, the forecast is calling for upwards of 18 to 20 mile per hour winds. So don't play a kicker from that game, first and foremost. I would bench Cairo Santos. I would not play him. I would be very, very cautious about the wide receivers. You probably have to play Rome Odunze unless you have a loaded lineup. And Wandale should be okay. Short and intermediate targets shouldn't be as affected by the wind. I don't want to play DJ Moore or Darius Slayton. These guys are more volatile. I want to avoid them with 20 mile per hour winds. No, thank you. I will take Alec Pierce of this group. And then Jalen Coker or Zacchaeus this week. So yeah, I mean, I'll take Coker because Tet's on the injury report, and Zacchaeus is in Chicago, upwards of 20 mile per hour winds. I'll take Coker just because Tet's on the injury report with the hamstring injury. So even if he suits up, he may be less than 100%. I'll take Coker. Tet's banged up and he's not and Coker is not dealing with 20 mile per hour winds. At least I don't think he is. What's the forecast in Charlotte tomorrow? 13 mile per hour winds. That's actually not much better, but it is better. If it's under 15 miles per hour, it's like the expected wind gust. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. I can live with that. I don't feel great about it, but I don't love it. It's when it start whipping around and anything north of 15 mile per hour, it's like winds. No, thank you. So I'll take Coker. Patriots, Jets, Steelers, Chargers, Jags, Saints, Bears, or Giants? Jacksonville, because they're getting Davis Mills, and Houston's offensive line is very beatable. Patriots on the road against Baker. I don't love that. The Jets traded they traded Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner, so as far as I'm concerned, the Jets are not in consideration any week. The Steelers' defense is not what it used to be. The Chargers are okay. They're all right. The Saints, no. The Bears, no. The Giants, should be all right, but ultimately, I don't know. They're not calling out to me. Jacksonville going against Davis Mills and a less than good offensive line. I'll take Jacksonville. I'll take Jacksonville. They're not a top 5 play for me this week, but they're probably top 10. They're probably top 10. Sorry, Bobby's got a trade question. Your league is crazy, Bobby. I love it. I feel like you've got a bunch of psychos in your league, and I mean that in the nicest way. Like people just like fast and furious, just like dishing trades out every 5 minutes. It's chaos, but it's fun. Jefferson, McBride, and Jacobs for A.J. Brown, Bowers, and Chase Brown. No. I mean, Bowers and McBride are comparable. I know Bowers didn't do anything on Thursday night. So I'm not talking about just this week. I'm talking about in general. Chase Brown and Jacobs. Jacobs is probably a little better to have than Chase Brown, but both are fine. The difference is Jefferson versus A.J. Brown. I love A.J. Brown. He's been incredible, but he hasn't been as good this year. He's been more up and down than Jefferson has. Jefferson is significantly more stable. That's what it feels like right now anyway than A.J. Brown is. So that's the difference for me here. I'm not doing that trade. I'm keeping your guys. I'm keeping Jefferson, McBride, and Jacobs. I don't want to do that deal. No. Full PPR, but you're not super confident about the matchup. The move might be Pittman then. And I know it hurts to bench a guy like Breece who just popped off. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago when he went nuts? But I mean, this is a different animal. Cleveland has one of the best defenses in the NFL. And unlike the Jets, they didn't trade those guys away. That's right. The Jets were on bye this past week. He went nuclear against the Cincinnati Bengals. But, that makes sense. Of course he went nuts against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is everybody goes nuts against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals stink. On defense, anyway. I would play Pittman. If you are, it's full PPR, that's one. And two, you feel like it's you got to be a little aggressive if you say you're not too confident about the matchup. Then play Pittman. Play the guy in full PPR who has the chance to draw 10 targets and hopefully catches 7 or 8 of them. That'll boost your floor. I'll play Pittman. Breece against Cleveland is not the same as Breece against Cincinnati. I'll take Pittman there. Flex one. Monangai, Rashad White, or Tet. Rashad White, who I know Rashad White isn't that great, but he's going to get a bell cow workload tomorrow. Bucky's not playing. Sean Tucker is a clear backup even when Bucky doesn't play. Monangai it could be in a rotation with DeAndre Swift, so it could be kind of musical chairs. Maybe Monangai comes through. Maybe Swift vultures a touchdown and prevents him from having a better game than he possibly could have. And Tet is on the injury report with a hamstring injury, so I'd rather not deal with that. Even if he does suit up, he could be less than 100%. Give me Rashad White at home with a bell cow workload. His matchup's not great either, but in full PPR, he'll catch the ball 4 or 5 times. So yeah, give me Rashad. Give me Rashad. What tight end to start this week? Henry, Hawkinson, Loveland. I would probably go Hunter Henry. Hawkinson is like a tight end 2 when Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are playing. He's so not reliable. And, Loveland popped against the Cincinnati Bengals last week. everybody pops against. I'm pretty sure most of us could score a touchdown against the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, they are that bad. And I'm not trying to diminish Colston Loveland's game. He had a spectacular game, but it's a tougher matchup this week. Cole Kmet is going to play, so his opportunities may be less than what we want them to be. Henry, on the other hand, there's no Kayshon Boutte or Ramondre Stevenson for New England. So, there could be there's more opportunities in general without Boutte, and there could be increased short and intermediate opportunities with no Ramondre. So I'll take Hunter Henry of this group. And he is, the clear-cut tight end 1 for New England. Loveland's in a committee. Hawkinson's not, but he's third in the pecking order consistently, regularly behind Jefferson and Addison. I would play Hunter Henry. And then for the flex, Monangai. I think I would go Monangai. The vibes are good with him right now. I do think he has the chance to be the 1A tomorrow. It's not the best matchup against the Giants, but it is a home game. If there's one portion of offense where you're not worried about the weather, it's the running backs. And again, 18 to 20 mile per hour winds in Chicago tomorrow. That could mean more rushing opportunities. I'll take Monangai here. Mason has fallen off. Aaron Jones should be solid tomorrow. But he is nursing an injury, and as an older running back, that's always a little bit more volatile. And then Myers is playing his first game with Jacksonville since the trade in a brutal matchup against Houston. I don't want any parts of that. I would play Monangai as your flex. That's where I would go. Njoku or Hawkinson this week. Yeah, I'm going to keep saying probably anybody but Hawkinson. What is Njoku's status? Because Fannin is on the injury report with a hamstring injury. So, even if he's less than 100%, or if he's less than 100%, then, that should open up opportunities for Njoku, who's in a great matchup against the Jets, who just traded all of their defensive talent away. Njoku is not on the injury report. Harold Fannin is. Njoku over Hawkinson for me. I have so many tight ends over Hawkinson anymore. Yeah. Hawkinson has fallen off. Yeah, I would play Njoku. Swift and Monangai for Dowdle. I'll take Dowdle. I like Monangai, but I don't think DeAndre Swift is necessarily going anywhere. Although I guess we could say the same thing about Chuba Hubbard earlier this year, but Rico straight up just stole the backfield from him. Right now, Rico's an RB1 rest of the way. Swift and Monangai are kind of like RB2s that are interesting, but they're going to cannibalize each other as long as both are healthy. I'll take Dowdle here. Yeah. I will take Dowdle straight up for Monangai and Swift. I would take Dowdle. If you are acquiring Dowdle, I would say yes, do this trade. If you have Dowdle and the ask is for you to send Dowdle for the Bears running backs, then I would say no. Basically, I want Rico Dowdle. I want Rico Dowdle for sure. Dude's maybe he's not a slam dunk RB1 rest of the way, but he feels like a low end RB1 right now. Feels like a low end RB1 right now. Another trade, Bobby? That's crazy. Your love Javonte Jefferson for Darnold, Brees, A.J. Brown. No, still no. Because I'd rather have Javonte than Brees. I already mentioned I'd much rather have Justin Jefferson than A.J. Brown. I'd rather have Javonte than Brees. The Cowboys' offense is much, much better than the Jets' offense. Javonte's been playing great in his own right. No to that deal. No to that deal. Yeah. Just tell that person I'm not trading Jefferson for A.J. Brown. Like, that's what I'm not trading Jefferson for A.J. Brown. I'm not downgrading like that. Unless you're getting a stud running back without having to give up a good running back in return. Like, there's been a drop-off from A.J. Brown this year, and I know I'm still saying start him, but because it's still A.J. Brown, but we still have to keep in mind, recent performances when we're talking about trades. Yeah. There's W. You can be stubborn back. You tell them to kick rocks. Give me something. Give me a really good offer, and then maybe you can have Justin Jefferson. I think this is where I'm at. What running backs do I have ranked ahead of Kyren? McCaffrey, Taylor, Bijan, Achane, you name those guys. I mean, probably James Cook, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon, Javonte Williams, probably. I mean, Rico Dowdle. I can't believe, this is where we're at. I think I'd rather have Rico. It's close. But Blake Corum has 25 carries over the past 2 games for the Rams. That's a significant cut into Kyren's workload. I'd rather have Rico Dowdle. And then Derrick Henry. I'd rather have Derrick Henry as well. Like, there's a lot of guys that I would rather have than Kyren right now. And that's not to say that Kyren isn't a borderline RB1. Like, he's still top 15, but that's just it. There's probably 12-ish guys I'd rather have than Kyren. So if you're trying to tier up, I mean, Dobbins just got hurt, so you're probably not going to be able to trade him. But if you can turn Kyren and Henderson into Cook, Gibbs, that might be a little too aggressive, but if you can offer Kyren and Travion Henderson, you could probably ask for, one of those other 3 names you mentioned, or like a Jahmyr Gibbs or a James Cook. You could try. Like Kyren plus Henderson. I can't imagine you're going to be able to do Kyren plus Dobbins now that he's injured, but you could try that as well, I guess. Try to catch someone sleeping, but that might not work. Kyren plus one of these other names, Chase Brown or Henderson, and see if it'll net you Gibbs or James Cook. I doubt it'll work, but you can try. Hell, you could offer Kyren for Rico straight up, and I think that would be a win. You could just try Kyren for Rico Dowdle. You might even be able to get away with Kyren's name recognition and try to get Rico plus. That might be getting a little greedy, but you could try that as well. Or Kyren plus for Javonte. Or Kyren for Josh Jacobs. Any one of those would be fine by me. Okay, got some of those member questions. really quick. My pushback, Bobby, my pushback would be, hey, if you want Justin Jefferson for AJ Brown, then you got to give me Breece Hall for not Josh Jacobs, like a multiple tier down running back to even things out, because Jefferson is multiple tiers ahead of AJ Brown right now. So like, I'm not doing a stud RB1 for a stud RB1 and a stud wide receiver 1 for a guy who has been a stud wide receiver 1, but this year has been more of a wide receiver 2. Like, yeah. Tyler with the big time super. I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much for the support. Very generous. Would I pick up Jaden Daniels? He's probably out 3 to 6 weeks. So here's the thing. I guess, well, who's your current quarterback, right? Like, are you streaming guys and like you're just getting by week to week, you're figuring it out week to week, or do you have a guy where it's like, yeah, this is my dude each week and I don't have any questions about that? So that would be my one thing about quarterback. As for Daniels himself, if he got dropped and you have an IR spot, or if your team is just awesome and you do have an extra bench spot, maybe you don't have an injured reserve spot for him, but you've got a bench spot where it's like I could roll these dice because the rest of my team rocks and I don't necessarily need to hold somebody on who would otherwise be available on the waiver wire but is on my bench now, then like, sure, fine, you could take that shot. But, you know, rostering an injured player always comes with some risk if you can't just stash them on injured reserve. If you can stash him on IR, then to me, that's the end of the conversation. Yes, pick him up and do it. But if you can't stash him on IR and you're having to use a roster spot for him for the next month, then I would hope you're in really good shape, that your team is in really good shape for the playoffs. You've got a winning record. You've scored a good amount of points. And even if you lost a couple games in a row, it wouldn't hurt you because you've already won 6 or 7 games. And you're feeling good about your chances. Like, so you pick up a player like Jaden Daniels as a lottery ticket, as a wild card, when you have already built yourself enough of a buffer in the event that you lose a couple of games, you know, in this like stretch run before the postseason starts, before the fantasy playoffs start. So that's one element here. You have Herbert and Stafford. Okay, so you're in really good shape, and I appreciate the donations, man. Thank you. You're in really good shape at quarterback. So sure, I mean, if you have a roster spot and you are otherwise sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, I don't have anybody that I'm saving this for. There's not anybody on my team, or there's not anybody, like there's a couple guys on my bench now that I'm willing to drop, or there's somebody who I'm not willing to hold anymore and I want to get rid of, and I want to take the chance on this guy. Like, sure, fine, absolutely. Obviously, the concern is, does Washington stay in the playoff race long enough for them to make it make sense to bring Daniels back eventually? And we all saw the injury. It was nasty looking, right? His elbow went the wrong way. It just went the wrong way. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's going to be closer to a 5 to 6 week absence as opposed to like a 3-week absence. I think we're looking at a longer timeline to return for Jaden Daniels than a shorter one. So just keep that in mind. 6 weeks from now is the fantasy semifinals in most leagues. That's week 16. That is generally the semifinals in most fantasy formats. So basically, you're holding hope that Jaden Daniels comes back at the most critical juncture of your season, the most important part of your season. Are you going to feel confident firing Jaden Daniels up if his first game action in like a month and a half is the fantasy semifinals? So I'm just like painting a picture for you. I don't know that I'd be super comfortable in that scenario. And I know Jaden Daniels is a difference maker and a Konami code, and his upside is through the roof when he plays. But he also hasn't been like incredible this year. He has not put up the performances that he put up last year so far. And that's on top of the games that he has already missed, on top of the games that he is about to miss. So, ultimately, I think you're good at quarterback. I think you could potentially use that roster spot on something else because you have two healthy options who are playing well now. But if you are looking at the waiver wire and you don't love the other options available and you want to roll the dice on a Jaden Daniels lottery ticket, sure, fine. That's okay. Just know that in all likelihood, the soonest that you would use him is an elimination game, is a playoff game in the fantasy semifinals with a trip to the championship on the line. And with him having missed a month and a half up to that point, I might not be feeling super strongly about starting him given those circumstances. That's all I'll say about that. And then as far as, is it okay to play three guys in the same game? Yes. They could feed off of each other. If the Eagles score, that means the Packers have to score. If the Packers score, that means the Eagles have to score. It's a thing called same game correlation. Or something like that. It's like that, but it's a real thing. This is a real thing. Same game correlation, which means two players in the same game can actually benefit from each other having to play off of each other. If the Packers score, Devontae Smith needs to be, might need to get involved. If the Eagles score, Josh Jacobs, Romeo Doubs, the Packers got to answer. Same game correlation is perfectly fine and something that I don't shy away from at all. You absolutely can play all three of those guys with confidence, with plenty of confidence. Yeah, I would play all three of those dudes. I would play all three of those dudes. So, yeah, play those three guys. And you could pick up Jaden Daniels if there's nothing else on the wire. Just know the next time you have the chance to use him, you might not want to. He'll have missed a lot of time, and it'll be probably a fantasy playoff game. Appreciate the support, Tyler. Thank you so much for all the donations. Let me know if you need anything else. Very generous. Kevin, give Bill for a projected mid-second round pick. Yes. Yes. I would. I mean, I don't want to necessarily signal like waving the white flag and giving up on an interesting young player, but he hasn't done anything. And he certainly doesn't have draft capital in his favor. He was a 7th round pick. That's part of why we leaned into all of the hype and excitement that he was giving us in the preseason, because he was such an underdog. It was such an out of nowhere, like, oh, we can root for this Cinderella story, 7th round pick. What's not to like? Like, we love an underdog, right? Everybody loves an underdog. We love a guy who comes from nowhere and turns into something. That hasn't really materialized for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. The team is definitely going to add running back in some way, shape, or form, either through free agency or the draft this year, because Brian Robinson was traded and 30-year-old Austin Eckler suffered a torn Achilles. So they're definitely going to address the running back situation, Washington, this year. Bill might only be a one-year wonder, and it's not even a one-year wonder because it hasn't really materialized for him yet. And now the offense is going to go in the tank in all likelihood for the next 4 to 6 games because Marcus Mariota isn't that good. Yes, I would trade Bill for a 2nd-round pick in Dynasty. Yes, I would do that. I would do that. I would give him up. And yeah, if you can turn that into Waddle, always keep in mind in Dynasty draft capital. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, 7th round pick. Jalen Waddle, former 1st round pick. If you can use draft capital to turn Bill Krosky-Merritt into Jalen Waddle, you do it. You do it. Pick one for the flex. Kittle, Gadsden, Vidal, or Tez. I do not like playing tight ends in the flex. That's just a bugaboo of mine. I don't like it's such a volatile position. I don't really want to necessarily rely on a tight end or 2 tight ends to come through for me. That being said, if it's full PPR, I might play Gadsden because that's how good he has been. If it's half PPR or standard scoring, I'll take the shot on Vidal and go back to the well on a guy who should get most of the opportunities in the Chargers' backfield in a decent matchup Sunday night against Pittsburgh. But if it's full PPR or tight end premium, I actually may go Gadsden. That's how good he's been. That's how impressive he's been for the last month. And Herbert clearly trusts him and likes going to him. It's become one of the premier quarterback tight end combinations in the NFL this year since his emergence. If it is full PPR, I might say Gadsden. But if it's half PPR, I'll take the running back. I'll take Vidal. Scoring matters. Scoring matters. Montgomery, Keenan, Tez Johnson, or Shakir. Good evening to you as well. We're picking 2 here. Montgomery has Washington on the road. I like that. Keenan Allen has kind of fallen off in recent weeks. I don't love that. Tez Johnson is interesting, but I do think he's still something of a dart throw. Although he does have an expanded opportunity tomorrow. And then Shakir is the Bills wide receiver 1 most weeks. I do like Montgomery. I like Montgomery in a good matchup against Washington. It's a favorable spot. Washington is they're not in good shape with Mariota. So if the Lions are winning this game in the second half as expected, they'll be running the ball and they'll be running it with Montgomery. So I guess I would go Montgomery, and Shakir is a little volatile if the Bills blow out the Dolphins and then they don't necessarily need him. However, he is the team's wide receiver 1, and he does get to catch the ball from Josh Allen. And honestly, Miami's offense is good enough to score points and make that game interesting. I'll say Shakir. I'll say Montgomery and Shakir. Montgomery in a good matchup where the Lions are favorites and they should be running the ball in the second half. And Shakir, he's Josh Allen's wide receiver 1. Nothing scary about the matchup against Miami. Tez Johnson is interesting, but it is a tougher matchup against the Patriots. And Keenan Allen, it's a good matchup against Pittsburgh for Keenan Allen, but he's fallen off a little bit in recent weeks for LA. So I'll go with Montgomery and Shakir of those guys. And then Jennings or Pierce. Jennings gets the Rams. No Ricky Pearsall. No Brock Purdy. Or I assume that's Jawan. Is it Jawan Jennings? It's not Terrell Jennings, right? The Patriots backup running back. Um, just double checking. I assume it's Jawan Jennings or Pierce, who is in Berlin against Atlanta. Wasn't the Rams one of the games last year where Jawan Jennings went nuclear? Now I guess it doesn't matter because that was a game where they were missing McCaffrey and Kittle and Pearsall and a bunch of other guys. So maybe that doesn't matter as much. But I'm pretty sure one of his stronger performances last year did come against the LA Rams. Here's slightly tougher matchups. Pierce slightly tougher matchup. Jennings is... That's also not a great matchup. Pierce is in the better offense. I'll say that. Pierce is in the better offense. I'll say Jennings is your floor play. If you think you could play it safe, you might only get 4 or 5 catches. I'll take Jennings. And then if you need the ceiling play, if you want to be aggressive, Pierce is one of the better deep threats in the league, but obviously that always comes with risk of a low floor. So Jennings is the high floor, low ceiling play. Pierce is the high ceiling, low floor play. So it depends on what you need. If you think you need to be aggressive, I would play Pierce. If you think you can play it safe, I would play Jennings. What's going on, E111? Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. And yes, Bobby, if you have grab Emmanuel Wilson if you can to protect Josh Jacobs. I would if you can. I would. Start 1 at wide receiver. Keenan Allen, Tet McMillan, Chris Olave. I guess Olave. I don't feel super strongly about it, but at least he is, he is his team's wide receiver 1, and he's healthy. You cannot say that about the other 2 guys. Tet is the team's wide receiver 1, but he's not healthy. He's on the injury report with a hamstring injury. And then Keenan Allen is not the team's wide receiver 1 and has fallen off in recent weeks. So Olave, even though I do not love his situation because I don't expect the Saints offense to really have that much success the rest of the season. But 12 targets is 12 targets, I guess. I'll take Olave over Tet and Keenan Allen. And then you could play Etienne, Swift, or Rachaad White. I would play Rachaad White. Bell cow workload, no Bucky Irving. He's not great, but he's better than he's not great, but he's good enough to come through in fantasy because he can catch the ball. And I would play him over Swift and Etienne for sure. Yeah. Etienne's in a brutal matchup against Houston. Swift is potentially in a timeshare with Monangai and is on the injury report with a groin injury. So Rachaad White over both of those guys for sure. I would play Olave and I would play Rachaad White. Yep. Would I drop Isaiah Davis for DeMercado? Yeah, I would. The wait to see if Breece Hall would get traded has obviously come and gone. Breece Hall is still a Jet, which means Isaiah Davis firmly remains the handcuff to Breece Hall. DeMercado is, I would imagine he's the Cardinals' RB1 this week. So I'll take DeMercado. You could play DeMercado this week. I do not think you could play Isaiah Davis this week against the Cleveland Browns. There's no way. And that's what we were stashing Isaiah Davis in case Breece Hall got traded, but he didn't get traded. So now he's lost some of his appeal. I would pick up DeMercado. He's probably going to start this week. or even if he doesn't start, he should lead the Cardinals' backfield in opportunities because Benson's not going to play, and Bam Knight is a special teams guy. Yeah, I would pick up DeMercado. I would pick up DeMercado. Yep. Okay, got some member questions. Moving on down. You have Saquon, you have Swift, you have Henry, you have Henderson, you have Monangai, you have Rashad White, you have Tyrone Tracy. That's a good collection of running backs. Good job collecting all these guys. I would play... You're playing Saquon, you're playing Henry. And then while I like Travion Henderson tomorrow, and I like Kyle Monangai tomorrow, I think I'm going to play Rashad White. Because I know that he's going to get bell cow opportunities. Sean Tucker is it's not a 1A and 1B situation. It is a Rashad White is the starter, and Sean Tucker will get opportunities if it's a blowout or if they have a solid lead. Henderson will cede opportunities in all likelihood to Terrell Jennings, and Monangai will cede opportunities to Swift. Tracy, I'd rather not play Tracy. Devin Singletary might be the starter there. Rashad White is the only other outside of Saquon and Henry. While I like the collection of guys that you have here, but other than Saquon and Henry, Rashad White is the only one that I expect to receive most of the snaps and opportunities with little competition behind him. I would play Saquon, Henry, and Rashad White. But this is a great collection of running backs. I would not do anything as far as trades or anything else moving forward. Like I would keep this intact. It's a good group. And then you need 3 between Shakir, Allen, Puka, AJ. Sit Keenan Allen. Sit Keenan Allen. He's been quiet in recent weeks. It's not a bad matchup. It's a decent matchup against Pittsburgh. It's a pretty good matchup against Pittsburgh, but Keenan's been kind of quiet in recent weeks. He was a wide receiver 1 week 7. And he's been a wide receiver 4 or worse every other week since week 4. So I'm not playing Keenan Allen right now. Puka, AJ, Khalil Shakir. That's where I'm going. And then at quarterback, I would probably start Darnold. If I wasn't worried about the wind and the weather, I would tell you to start Caleb Williams. But again, 18 to 20 mile per hour winds tomorrow. What's the weather in Seattle? I got to play this game now. I got to make sure I'm not 9 mile per hour winds, 10% chance of humidity, or 10% chance of precipitation, 70% humidity. That's not bad. It's going to be a nice fall day in Seattle tomorrow. But in Chicago, we're expecting, I think, 40% chance of precipitation and 18 to 20 mile per hour winds. And since I last looked at it, the precipitation percentage went from 40 to 45%. And it could be snow, not just rain. It could be snow. The weather in Chicago tomorrow is probably going to suck. So I will take Darnold over Caleb Williams. And again, if you have Cairo Santos in at kicker, I would take a long, hard look at that, and I would strongly consider moving off of him. Snow and 18 to 20 mile per hour winds in Chicago tomorrow, no thank you. No thank you with those kickers. I do not want to play them. If that's for anybody, if you have Cairo Santos, I would strongly consider moving off of him because of the weather tomorrow. And obviously, keep tabs on that. This is the time of year. Check weather.com. If you know the game is not being played in a dome, check weather.com and the location of where the game is being played, and check and make sure that the weather is going to hold up. The winter months are upon us. Winter weather is upon us in a lot of parts of the country. We have to be cognizant and mindful of this type of stuff. In the Northeast and the Midwest, those are the places where it's like we got to keep an eye on the weather from here on out. as it pertains to the passing game and kickers. So I would play Darnold over Caleb Williams tomorrow as a result. Is Barkley going to turn it up? Hell yeah, Saquon's going to turn it up. He's Saquon freaking Barkley, and he's had his bye week, and he's healthy. Saquon's going to be what he usually is, an RB1 Monday night. Book it. Let's see. I got Tyler's questions. Thank you again, Tyler, for the supers. Very, very kind of you. Appreciate it. And I think I got all the member questions so far. I do. Looking to trade Tyler Warren, Jordan Addison, and Stephon Diggs to receive Gadsden and Pickens. Interesting. You're giving up 3 and acquiring 2. Warren for Gadsden, I think that's kind of negligible. It's like we're trading a top 5 tight end, or we're trading like the number 4 tight end for the number 5 tight end, or the number 3 tight end for the number 4 tight end, like any given week. So that's kind of negligible for me. I'll be honest. If you were to do that 1 for 1, like it's like okay, fine. You're just like maybe there's a personal preference there. But then you would trade Addison and Diggs to acquire Pickens. I think it's a lot of depth. Like it's solid depth to give up. And Pickens is on his bye this week, which I'm sure you're already well aware of. So you're not going to be able to use him. So if you're like 4-5 or 3-6, if you're on the outside looking in, you're fighting for a playoff spot, and you're giving up Addison and Diggs, who are 2 players that you can use this week, then I'm not as excited about the trade. But if you are in good shape, you're 5-4, you're 6-3, hell, maybe you're even better than that, 7-2, 8-1, and you've scored a lot of points, like you're in good shape for the playoffs, and you can afford to take a hit this week to pick up the better player who is on their bye this week, and then you have them rest of the way starting next week, then I think I would actually be okay with doing this. And if your wide receiver depth is solid, of course, because you're giving up solid depth. But if you can absorb the Pickens bye week this week, then I think I would do this trade. Because I do think I would rather have Pickens than Addison and Diggs the rest of the way. Yes, Pickens is his team's wide receiver too, but it's one of the most high-octane offenses in the NFL. So he's basically, for all intents and purposes, he can be a wide receiver 1 for fantasy because of the offense that he is attached to. So, yeah. I would do this trade if you feel like you're in good shape for the playoffs. But if you're scratching and clawing for a playoff spot, if you're on the outside looking in or you're right on the cusp of a playoff berth, I might wait a week because you need bodies this week to help you try to get a win this week, and Addison and Diggs help you do that. Pickens doesn't. Flex Tracy, Tez Johnson, or DeMercado in half PPR. This might be where I go Tez Johnson. I don't trust Tyrone Tracy. I don't really trust that backfield. I don't know if it's going to be Tracy. I don't know if it's going to be Singletary. And then I like DeMercado, but it is a tougher matchup tomorrow against Seattle compared to the one he had last week Monday night against Dallas. Tez is coming off his bye week and no Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans. I'll take Tez from this group. I'll take Tez of this group. Over DeMercado, over Tyron Tracy. I'll take Tez. Yeah, I'll take Tez. Sutton and the Broncos did us zero favors on Thursday night. Thanks for nothing, Denver. You need an upside play, Henderson or Pierce. I think you just gotta go Henderson. Pierce would be the upside play, but honestly, I think Henderson is both your floor and your ceiling play in this scenario. He should get 1A opportunities. He handled most of the I know Terrell Jennings got the touchdown last week for New England, but Henderson is handled most of the snaps and opportunities. He's not going to have a very good time running the football against Tampa Bay, but they should throw him the ball out of the backfield a good amount because of the bad matchup against the run. Tampa is strong against the run. So Henderson might be a bit of a plotter running the ball tomorrow, but he should get plenty of opportunities as a receiver out of the backfield to kind of try to exploit that matchup. And in full PPR, that elevates his floor even more. I think I would just go Henderson here. I mean, if you really need a moonshot, then I guess that's Pierce, but I think I would just play Henderson and hope for the best. Unless you get points for big plays, like 40-yard catches, then that maybe makes Pierce a little bit more interesting. But otherwise, I think I would just play Henderson and hope he catches the ball 5 or 6 times, because he could if they struggle to run the ball against Tampa. I'm having a great Saturday. I hope you are as well. Thanks for asking. Start one at the flex. Monangai, Parker, Washington, or Christian Watson. Monangai, I think. I mean, bad weather in Chicago tomorrow, but that doesn't hurt the run game as much as it hurts the passing game. The vibes are good with Monangai right now. DeAndre Swift is on the injury report. Groin injury, and also missed practice with a personal matter. So I guess that's not injury related. I guess that's not as big of a deal. But still, he's on the injury report, and the vibes seem to be in Monangai's favor right now. Parker Washington should have an expanded opportunity for Jacksonville. No Brian Thomas, no Travis Hunter, but it's an awful matchup against Houston. And Christian Watson is a dart throw. He's boom bust. He's all or nothing. If you need a moonshot like desperation play, then I guess Watson. But otherwise, I would probably just play Monangai. The vibes seem to be very strong with him right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are more rushing opportunities for the Bears offense tomorrow than usual, again, because of the expected bad weather. That's going to hurt the passing offense more than it hurts the run game. I'll take Monangai. Over Parker, over Watson. Got a few more questions here. Appreciate everybody's patience as I work through questions. Aaron Jones or Dobbs in full PPR. Might be Dobbs. It might be Dobbs. I mean, I like Aaron Jones. He is older at this point. I do think he's nursing an injury. He is nursing an injury because he's been ruled like expected to play, but that means he's dealing with something. He's dealing with an injury. Maybe it's minor. Maybe it's not anything. But he is on the injury report as an older running back. Dobbs is in a game that could be a shootout going up against the Eagles Monday night in Lambeau. No Tucker Kraft. Still no Jaden Reed. Maybe no Matthew Golden. Maybe no Dontavian Wicks. There's a lot. Like, the Packers have a lot of injuries in their passing game right now. So that means Dobbs is going to have to take on a larger role. I think I would go, because it's full PPR and because of the injuries to Green Bay's the rest of their offense, and Aaron Jones is on the injury report himself, I'll say Romeo Dobbs here. They need him. They need him. They got a lot of injuries, and Aaron Jones himself is on the injury report. So I'll take Dobbs. Okay. I'm glad we're in agreement. Javonte and CeeDee for Bijan and Wandale? No. No. No, I'm not. No. Because CeeDee is a wide receiver 1, and honestly, rest of season, Javonte is a low-end RB1. He's been awesome, and the Cowboys' offense in general has been great. They're one of the best bets in football right now as far as scoring. Bijan is better than Javonte, but Wandale, who is solid in PPR leagues, he's still multiple tiers below CeeDee Lamb. Like, that's not even a question. No, I'm keeping it because, and you say your wide receivers are CeeDee, Rice, etc. So you'd be giving up CeeDee and Javonte for Bijan and Wandale? No, not for me. Not for me. Not for me. I'm keeping CeeDee. I'm keeping Javonte. I am keeping pieces of one of the better offenses in the NFL. We can't say the same about, Bijan is an excellent individual talent, but I would rank Javonte probably, if Bijan is like 3rd or 4th for the rest of the season, Javonte is probably in that 8, 9, 10 category. CeeDee is top 5. Wandale is not in that conversation. No, I'm keeping your pieces. I'm not making that trade. No way. I'm not making that trade. E111. Thoughts on Bowers rest of season? Still fine. If you want to put the other guys ahead of him, McBride, Warren. Honestly, I don't even know how much how many names I want to put ahead of him, just because I know how talented he is. Like, last Thursday night was not a Bowers problem. It was a Geno Smith and Chip Kelly problem. If you want to put McBride over Bowers and Tyler Warren over Bowers, fine. But I think that's as far as I'm going. He's still top 3 tight end rest of the way. I know the Raiders' offense sucks. I know Geno is not good. I know Chip Kelly is a fraud. But I know Brock Bowers is anything other than what I just said. Brock Bowers is incredible. He's one of the best players at the position. He's still awesome. Better days are to come. They played a short week on the road against a great defense Thursday night, so I'll give them a mulligan for that. I still believe in Brock Bowers as a top 3 tight end the rest of the season. If you want to put McBride and Tyler Warren ahead of him, okay, fine. I won't stop you. I won't fight that too hard. But I'm not putting anybody else ahead of Bowers. I'm not putting Kittle ahead of him. I'm not putting Gadsden ahead of him. As excellent as he's been, I still believe in Bowers. Bowers over Kelsey for sure. For sure. I still, and I know Kelsey's on the much better offense, catching the ball from Patrick Mahomes. I know his situation is so much better. Bowers right now is a much better player in 2025 than Travis Kelsey is. I still believe. Even after a bad performance this past weekend, or this past Thursday, excuse me. And then Tracy, Corum, Tootin, Mason, Isaiah Davis. Start one, stash one. Damn. these are some deep stashes. Mason feels like he has completely fallen off. So I don't really want to start him. I don't know that I will. That being said, I got to remind myself, Aaron Jones is literally on the injury report. And it is a good matchup. I don't know that I really want to start Mason. But that might actually be my suggestion here. You know, it's between, like, I guess, Tyrone Tracy. It's between Tyrone Tracy and Jordan Mason. And I don't trust Tracy after Tracy could be fine. It's a great matchup against the Bears, but Devin Singletary could draw the start again, and then it's like, you're relying on a guy that's going to maybe see the field for 35 to 40% of the time on an offense that's not as good as the Vikings. I will say play Mason of this group. I don't have a ton of confidence in Jordan Mason. All I'm going off of is the Vikings are at home. It's a pretty good matchup against the Baltimore Ravens by the numbers. And Aaron Jones is expected to play, but is on the injury report. I'll say Mason. And then the stash from this group, not Tracy, not Isaiah Davis, not since Breece Hall didn't get traded. It would be between Corum and Tootin. So obviously, if you have ETN, then I would rather keep Tootin. If you have Kyren Williams, then I would rather keep Corum. I guess I'll say Corum if you don't have either, because at least he's on the best offense. He's on the best offense of this group. The Rams have a better offense than the Giants, the Jaguars, the Vikings, and the Jets. So I will say play Jordan Mason, stash Blake Corum. That's where I'll go. Okay. Is ETN and Kelsey for Judkins too? No. If you have Bowers and Kelsey, and you can turn Kelsey and ETN into Quinshon Judkins, send it. Smash accept. Make that happen. Give me Quinshon. I would love that for your team, E111. I would love that for your squad. If you can turn ETN and Kelsey into Quinshon Judkins, yes. Judkins looks like a stud. ETN was solid to start the season. He's kind of tapered off a little bit here recently. And, Bysel Tootin got pretty well involved last week, actually. And this is a great week to move off of ETN because the matchup against Houston stinks. Meanwhile, Judkins gets to play the Jets, who just traded Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. If you can make that trade happen, yes, then get it done. Absolutely, I would be all over that. I would be all over that. He has every chief but Kelsey. Oh, well, complete the Oh, he has Bowers. Okay. Well, I guess then who's your tight end, right? Whoever your tight end is, that matters. If you have Warren, if you have McBride, if you have Kittle, if you have Gadsden, then I'm all for it. If you can make it happen, I am all for it. You have Kincaid. Okay. He's been solid. Kincaid has been solid. Yeah, I'm still okay with it. I'm still okay with it. If you can make it happen, if you can turn ETN and Kelsey into Judkins, I'm doing it. You have Kincaid, that's good enough for me. That's at tight end, that's good enough for me. I would if you can make that trade, I would do it. I would 100% do it. Judkins rocks. Judkins looks awesome. Yep. Okay. We are at the end of the chat. I have gotten all questions to this point. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you want to tier your trade, if you want to tier the trade opportunities, you can absolutely do that for sure. Like you can always shoot for the moon first and settle later. And settling for Quinshad Judkins, who is awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you can make that, if you can get Judkins or Bowers or hell both, like, and ETN, Kelsey, whatever else you need to throw in to make that happen, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Just a reminder, no Sunday stream tomorrow just because there is another international game. I think there's an international game. There's one tomorrow, and I think there's one week 12, and then we're done with international games for the rest of the season. So I can continue to run Sunday morning streams again starting week 13. Is that Thanksgiving week? That's Thanksgiving week. I will be home that week, but I will make sure to pop on for I'll make sure to pop on. Well, as long as my flight doesn't get canceled. I'll make sure to pop on regardless. I will be available that morning in some capacity Sunday morning. But no Sunday morning stream tomorrow because of the Berlin game. So if you need any last-minute things from me between now and kickoff, you can do one of two things. You can hit me in the form of you can hit me with a question in the form of a comment on this stream, on any one of my posts, anywhere on the channel. I'll be sure to see it. I'll make sure to get to it. You can also hit me in Discord if you're not a member of my Discord but would like to join. It is the second link in the description of this live stream and all videos and streams on the channel. It is a free evergreen invite. I am typically active over there, especially in the mornings on Sundays, and especially so when there's an international game. That is my avenue for you guys to get a hold of me. If you guys need anything else between now and kickoff. Again, no Sunday morning stream because of the international game, but I will still make myself available. I think I'll be shutting down here shortly. But I appreciate everybody for coming in and hanging out today. Appreciate all of the engagement, all of the conversation, all of the patience from you guys, and hopefully it was helpful and informative. As always, I got to shout out my members, Bobby, Greg, I saw Sport Dog, Kevin, thank you for joining as a member. Appreciate the support. Who else did I see? I saw E111 popped in. I saw Alex. And I think those were the members that I saw. Appreciate the members for coming in and hanging out. And again, thanks, Kevin, for joining on as a member. Tyler, very generous with the supers. Appreciate those donations. Thank you so much. Always very generous. And everybody for coming in and hanging out this evening. Talking shop, talking ball ahead of Week 10. We're in the second half of football season. Obviously, the playoff race is heating up. You know where to find me if you need me for any last-minute thoughts as you get your lineup set for Week 10. But I think that'll do it for me this evening. Again, questions can be asked in the form of comments on either this stream or any other recent streams or videos on the channel, or you can hit me in Discord. Okay. I think I'm all caught up. I think we're good here. Enjoy your Saturday evening. However you spend it, have fun, stay safe. Best of luck tomorrow in Week 10. Hit me online with any questions you have between now and then, and I will make sure to get to them. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.